All right, I'm going to hand the mic over to you, Sunshine, and you
Okay,
are going to tell us what your one oh shit moment of next week's episode is.
here we go. Before you set up your virtual studio, you need to answer these 3 questions that will unlock the answers to your other questions about pricing, tech, lead generation, sales, and more. In order to answer all of those, you have to answer these 3 questions first. And we are going to give you that download in the show notes, which are coming to you via a great email with Dory and the Fitness Business Podcast. Grab those 3 questions and reach out to me to answer them, and I will give you feedback, real feedback from a marketing professor.
Ooh, such suspense. I love it. Okay, everybody out there, FBP, mark your calendar next week. Sunshine Moore is joining us on the podcast, and she's going to talk about creating your virtual fitness studio. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. Ooh, ooh.
Love it.
I liked you're like a little like, you're a little kind of like tell them like, hey man, this is what you're going to learn. You're like dominating. I like
Yeah, right?
it. I like it. All right, Miss, here we go. We're going to do the main interview. It is 7:14. So no more than 20 minutes, 17 to 20 minutes max. Okay, there is a lot of questions here. Some of them I'm going to try to probably just put together and then let you kind of hit them all. All right.
Sure.
I do have 2 questions that I'd like to ask you that aren't on this list. I don't know where I'm going to weave them into, but I'm going to give you a heads up on what they are.
Okay.
The first one I'd like to talk to you about just from looking through your website. I always like to look through everybody's stuff. As I say, I like to creep on you guys,
Yes.
is I would like to ask you the question, and that is like, how do you coach or teach someone confidence in front of the camera? I don't think I've had a guest talk about that yet. We've talked many times about the virtual fitness studio.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, I have learned many times with filming for stuff that when that stupid red light goes on, you're like, I don't know what happens to my brain sometimes, but I'm like, blah, 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 or I get nervous, or So I want to ask you about that. So I'm going to fit that in somewhere. And then I also want to ask you, as you probably somewhere when you talk about setting up a studio, I'd really like to bring that to the next generation in the sense of, hey, it's been 2 years that people have been doing online virtual studios. Now that they've kind of gotten savvy with that, like, where do you take your studio to the next step? Like, do you change your scenery? Do you add signage? Do you add branding? Like, I'd like to I'm going to ask you something like that. Like, okay, everybody started with the virtual studio in their basement, or they cleaned up their office. But now that we're kind of like.
Yes. And I have an answer to that actually.
Good. Okay. So those are 2 I'm going to somewhere squeeze in. I'm just not sure. Okay. I
don't know if you'll like it, but I have one.
No. I love it. Whatever it is, whatever it may be. Okay. I'm going to do on the same thing, like just a super quick intro, welcoming you to the show. And then, just kind of pick up on that and be like, oh yeah, thank you so much, or whatever you want to say. And then I'm going to hit that first one's not really a question, but I'm going to kind of say it to you, and I'll probably pause and maybe you can kind of like add on to it a little bit.
Sure.
And then we'll get into the true, like where I'm asking you how do we determine if, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Again,
I like the roadmap.
All right. Yes. If you're like, what the hell are you talking about, Dory? Or whatever, just give me a sign. Can we stop for a second and we'll pick it back up. Okay. Here we go.
Let's do it.
In 3, 2. Sunshine Moore is our industry expert today. Sunshine, thank you so much for coming on to the Fitness Business Podcast.
Thank you, Dory, for having me. I am so honored to be here.
Yeah, so you're going to talk to our audience today about creating your virtual fitness studio. We have some really good questions here that I think our FBP family is going to love. I can't wait to hear what your answers are going to be. You're the founder and CEO of You're the founder and CEO of FitTech. So tell us a little bit about FitTech.
Sure. FitTech is the hub for virtual fitness instructors to learn about tech and equipment, but not only that, also sales and marketing to successfully launch their virtual fitness studios. It was born out of a need, COVID, right? I had a brick and mortar studio and I happened to post something, I think it was in the Bar Above community, don't quote me on that, a video about mirroring in the camera. And I received so many questions in my messenger about it that I posted another one just to be helpful, quite honestly, because I have a background as an operations manager for a sound production company. So I know a little bit too much about XLR cables and mixers and mics, and I knew I could be helpful. I ran into a crossroads of whether to keep my brick and mortar studio open. It was a hybrid and or pivot into education with technology for fitness instructors. And I ultimately opted to pivot to education with fitness and technology to help fitness instructors. Honestly, because I know I can, and that's where I was feeling called to help. So we closed our brick and mortar studio and we've put all of our resources into building the back end of a business, which is a lot. And then taking all my teaching skills as a marketing professor to really help fitness instructors start their virtual studio and then successfully launch it long term. And in order to do that, they need the setup, they need the tech. And then the goal for me is that once I have earned your trust with teaching you the tech, maybe I can bend your ear about a marketing strategy, because that is how you are successful long term.
Well, my goodness, you're just a lot of things inside the box. So we're going to open the box today in our episode.
Yes.
And I'm going to try to pick your brain for every little piece of information that you have in there, because listen, launching a virtual fitness studio involves tech. It involves marketing, sales, the delivery, and then perhaps maybe the on-demand component. Would you not agree?
I absolutely agree.
All right. Well, let's
And
get,
it's
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
and it can be overwhelming to the point that people get stuck and they don't take action.
I can see that for sure. For sure. All right. Well, let's get to our first question, Sunshine. How do we?
Fire away.
Okay, I'm going to fire away a lot today. So get ready. All right. How do we determine if we have a viable market for a virtual studio?
I like this question. And because I knew that you were going to ask this, I am going to start by saying you need a marketing strategy. And you might have tipped your head and said that doesn't answer the question, but it does. A marketing strategy will help us determine who we serve, how we serve them, and what problem we solve for them, right? I can't answer necessarily if there's a viable market until you answer those questions. I want you to think about when somebody is accused of a crime, we ask if they have the means and the motive, right? Do they have the means? Are you a fitness instructor? Do you have the internet? You probably said yes. What is your motive? What is your why is really what I'm saying. What is your why for doing this? You just answered yes to both of those. So really, yes, you do have a viable market because you have the means and the motive. I know we'll get more into depth and really draw out, but to answer it, you have the means, you have the motive, you can do it.
All right. Now I'm going to put two questions together. All right. And
Okay.
that is, what return on investment can we expect and over what period?
Okay, I'm going to start again with marketing strategy, but I'm going to take you through it. I teach my students a positioning map. I want you to think about a box, a 2x2, two rows, 2 columns, 2 rows, right? And at the top of it, I want you to put quality. And on the right side, I want you to put price. Now you have 4 boxes, right, Dory?
Mhm.
You have to decide first what box you fit in. So if I said Planet Fitness, that would be on the low quality side, and the low price side. We'd be in the bottom left box. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Perfect. So you are already determined. Let's say we're going to be a Planet Fitness, $10 a month per client, right? That's a point that you can start at. We're in this lower box. Let's jump out of that now and ask ourselves, what is our goal? Let's say you're a stay-at-home mom and you want to make $100 a month. Is that before or after expenses? Once you've determined that, how many clients will you need to get there? If you are trying to make $100, but you have $200 in expenses, you start to do the math, right? And anybody can do that kind of simple math. You just have to put it on paper. To take that even farther, part of your expenses are your marketing. And when you're in virtual fitness, I would say up to 80% of your budget needs to go into your marketing, which is a scary figure. I actually heard it from Emily Hirsch again today of Hirsch Marketing. Almost 80% of your budget into marketing to get lead generation. That leads into, well, what is your budget? You'll determine your budget, and I know I'm doing hand gestures and nobody can see me. You determine your budget in your marketing strategy. It's just one component. I think a lot of times we get stuck in the weeds of, well, is $50 for 4 classes a good price? I have no idea. Show me your positioning map. Tell me who you serve, how you serve them, and what are the results that you're going to get them. Then we can have a conversation if $50 for 4 classes is a good price. We're also in the long game. You asked return on investment. Can I answer that? Really, no, I can't. Because again, I have to see your marketing strategy or help you with it. It could be 6 months. It could be 12 months. It depends on what your goal is. Let's go back to your first question. You said, what do you have a viable market? Have we determined your means and your motive, right? This all connects. So these are great questions, and we piece all of these together for our marketing strategy to build our business.
One thing that I like about you is the way you break things down. And I know I read this about you that you said, I wrote this note. She likes to break down the info into bite-sized, digestible pieces. And I feel like that's what you're doing. You're kind of just breaking it down little by little, kind of going back, reiterating what you're saying. I really like that.
Thank you. I think it's the teacher in me.
All right. So let's talk about tech, right? You know,
Let's talk about tech.
you love
Yes.
talking tech.
Yes.
I mean, basically, I think everybody knows what tech we need to launch our virtual studios, but what a little inside information do you have about the tech, or maybe some tips on the tech?
Sure. We all know we need a place to host our virtual studio, whether it's Arquetta or wherever. We all know we need some sort of way to film, right? We all know that we need music. We all know that we need lighting. What we don't all understand and accept is that we need a mixer. We need a mixer for our microphone and our music, mixing the sound. Because if we want to compete, it's no longer going to be acceptable to most people to turn on your iPhone without a microphone. If you're the instructor right now saying, my voice is loud enough, I want to challenge you on that. Because while it may be loud enough, is it pleasing enough to the people that you are speaking to? And I would bet you it's not. So if I could get you to get a mixer, you can get it for $100 on any website, AV Now or Amazon. Please go get a mixer for your microphone and your music to mix.
Oh my goodness. AV Now, you just got me so nostalgic of my days of being a group fitness director for the zillion years that I was a group X director.
No kidding.
Yeah, they were my go-to source. I think I knew
Sure.
on the other end of the phone, like my first name, I'd be like, all right, because I was I was so like when I was a group fitness director, it was so important. Sound and mics. I don't know. I was
Yes.
obsessive over that. So I was literally
Yes.
with AV now, I think once a month ordering stuff. So
Oh,
awesome.
definitely.
So your answer is perfect for what I wanted to ask you next. And that is,
Okay.
again, like I said to you, we know the basic tech stuff that we need, right? And
Sure.
it's kind of the same thing. Like everybody just kind of, when COVID hit, they set their studios up, they scrambled, they did it in their garage, they cleaned their garage up, they were in their basement, they were maybe in an office space or a rec room, whatever it may be. Knowing that we're 2 years into this, what would you recommend? Like, how do you update the studio? Like, how do you take the studio to the next level? Do you brand it? Do you change the scenery? Do you change the decorations? Any advice on that?
Yes. The next step, and this speaks to a question that I think you're going to ask me, but I'm just going to answer it now because it fits. I believe, and this is only my opinion, that the next step is more collaboration with other independent virtual fitness instructors. Bring more value. There is so much competition. It's either going to stop you from starting or get you to leave the industry, right? But I'm hoping that someone who's investing in education and listening to this podcast is the person that's going to go out and find her 4 best gal friends that teach something different than she does and come together as a group. Think of it like a pop sugar fitness model, right? Where we have different formats, different instructors, and you find who you vibe with. Find 4 or 5 girlfriends and come together where one teaches bar, one teaches pumped up strength, one teaches TRX, one teaches cycle, one teaches yoga, and that will offer you something unique. And it's not only that you're offering other formats, but there are 5 coaches now that the participants are getting access to basically for the price of one, right? And while you could go on a Beachbody for $99 a year, you do not have access to those coaches. You do have access to the workouts. Pick whatever you want. But it's the coaches and the relationships that you build with the clients that will make the difference. And now you have 5 of you. Someone could be in the Facebook group each day. That's 5 days a week. You get a live coach to chat with you. Game changer.
That is a game changer. I have not heard anybody that has been on the episode, on the Fitness Business Podcast episode, talk about collaborating in that way. Genius.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I love that. Like, yeah, so like tag team or have a guest
Yes.
instructor, or and then it also shares your market too, which could be a
Yes.
good thing. Genius. So I knew you
Yes.
were gonna have good stuff today.
Well, well, thank you. Well, each guest that comes on my podcast, if they have a virtual studio, I ask them to give me a Vimeo link to one of their workouts, and I let them know people are going to discover you in our fitness lab. We call it a fitness lab. And then I am building to that, right? We're going to have one where, hey, you're going to have access to, maybe it's Linda McDonald or Fiona Judd or whoever. And then we're going to have our own pop sugar fitness model, but it'll be FitTech, of course.
Cute, cute. I like that. Now, you might have tapped into this already, but I'm going to ask you anyhow. So I
Sure.
hope it's not too redundant. But how do we price our virtual studio membership? We get asked this all the time.
Sure.
I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Sure. And I did a whole episode on this that started with, let's do a marketing strategy, right? Price is one of the 4 P's in a marketing strategy. Go into Google. If you're driving right now, maybe we could put this in the show notes. You'll see that the 4 P's of marketing are price and product and where you place it and how you promote it, right? So price is only one piece. If you refer back to this earlier part of the episode when we talked about a positioning map, you will find where your price based on your quality lives. Again, are you Planet Fitness? Maybe your Lifetime Athletic? Then you price it according to those models. To take it a couple steps deeper, and again, I did a whole episode on this, we can talk about whether you want to do price per class or per month or a membership, but think about what your overall goal is again. Where's your budget? Where's your goal for the year? What do you want to make out of this? Those all factor into price. And I had someone ask me the other day, is $50 for 4 classes in my gym a good price? I said, I don't know. Who are you teaching? What do you want to make out of it? What are your costs? So a lot of variables do go into it, of course. And if you want more help, I'm happy to help. Just have them DM me or listen to my pricing episode.
We definitely, like you said, we'll get your information in our show notes at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com so they can reach out to you and continue either a conversation with you, or they can email you questions. So, all right, moving forward, as an online service, the marketing must drive online sales.
Yes.
So what marketing drives sales?
Great question. And I have 2 questions for you and listeners. Is advertising marketing?
No.
Follow-up question. Is marketing advertising?
Yes. Go ahead. You can tell everybody I just messed that up.
That, or we can redo it. Ready? I'm going to ask you again. 1, 2, 3. Is advertising marketing?
Yes.
Is marketing advertising?
Nope.
No. Advertising is part of the 4 Ps. It's the promotion part. But marketing is your strategy. Let me talk for 1 second about what we are doing that is not working. And what we are doing that is not working is information overload. We take in so much information that then we buffer with social media because we don't know where to start or how to start. And when we buffer with social media, we start to have imposter syndrome, and then it leads to inaction. I bet you multiple people just nodded their head and are saying, so what is the answer, Sunshine? Well, it used to be 7 touch points is all you needed to make a sale. It's now over 50 to 60 touch points. What does that mean? It means we're in this for the long term. Let's consistently show up in 2 ways. 1, with lead generation. It could be a template or a tool or a PDF that actually gets people results, not just a, hey, I'm going to give you a free download, right? We want them to actually get results. And for us, that could be a podcast episode, right? And then 2, you want to offer an invitation to go deeper with you, to work together. You want to do that not that often, maybe 1 out of 10 times. In between this lead generation that you're going to do consistently, weekly, whatever you decide, you want to be nurturing in between and helping and teaching your potential avatar, which is your potential client, which you've identified in your marketing strategy. Tell me about that person. To review, you need 50 to 60 touch points. That's reading your stories, giving them a download, they might be listening to your podcast. Then you're offering an invitation to go deeper. And in between that, you're nurturing the relationship. And all of that hangs on what your marketing strategy is, which is a long-term strategy, telling who you serve, how you serve them, and what results you get them.
Perfect. Well, I love that answer. And actually really helped me to go right into my next question because, marketing, advertising, all equals retention. And I want to know, how do you enhance retention of your members when you have the virtual offering? I know that's huge. Like I said, we're 2 years into it, and a lot of people are like, hey, it started off strong and now it's not so good. So how do you keep the retention?
How do you keep them? How about the Snapchat model? Give them a reason to show up every single day. I actually think it's a great model, right? What is that reason? You could fill in that answer with multiple ways. But it's the relationship. We're humans. We're meant to be in relationships with each other. And so when I mentioned the Pop Sugar fitness model of having 5 coaches or however many, this is how we're going to cultivate that relationship. Multiple touch points, multiple instructors, multiple relationships, Create that community of engagement. Give that person a reason to keep coming back. And then, of course, you can hire help. You can hire help in the Philippines for $4 an hour, and that's a good salary for them, right? And the virtual assistants that I've had over the years are very helpful with returning generic emails, or I might write all my content for a month and they upload it, but it's still me writing and communicating with my members. It still needs to be me until someone is ready to be working on their business instead of in it. And we're talking to instructors, so they are working in their business. So they need to be in it with the piece that nobody can do what they can do. But virtual assistants can answer their emails, most definitely.
Yes, I love the fact that you talk about virtual assistants. We had an episode a couple months ago that was all about VAs for gyms. I loved it. It was one of my favorite episodes because it was different, unique, eye-opening completely. It was awesome. So FBP family, I'll put that in the show notes about our episode. I can't remember off the top of my head what number it was, but hey, Sunshine, I have one last question for you. We're supposed to be done, but I saw this on your website and I loved it. So I'm going to ask you this question, and that is, we're talking all about virtual studios, and, fitness instructors are usually pretty confident getting up in front of their class, when they're live and in person. But I'm telling you from experience that when that little red light on the record button goes off, it just messes sometimes with your mind. So I saw that you have a class that you teach confidence in front of the camera. I'd love for you just to talk a little bit, just take maybe 30 seconds and talk about that course, because I think it's important.
Sure. Thank you. I think it's stopping people from pushing play. I really do. And I will give you some straightforward answers with this one. One, look at the back of your camera. That's where the better camera is anyway. So stop staring at yourself through your iPhone or laptop. Sorry, I'm losing my words. We'll start again. Okay, here we go. I will give you some really quick tips for you. One, look at the back of your camera. You can't see yourself, but what you can do is put a mirror behind it to make sure you're not jumping in and out of the lane, right? You have eliminated looking at yourself, and you've eliminated worrying getting out of it. But here's one that I love teaching people. Are you able to stand up where you're at, Dory?
Yes, I can stand.
Perfect. Okay, stand up for me.
All right, everybody, I'm standing up. Hold on.
Now, this is the psychologist in me coming out.
All right, I'm up.
Okay, perfect. I like your tank top, by the way.
Thanks, Les Mills.
Okay,
Woo!
yeah. Okay, take your arms to the corners for me. Perfect. Now put your hands in fists. Perfect.
Got it.
Now, squeeze your butt, Dory.
Squeezing.
Good. Now press your feet into the ground.
Pressing.
Good. Now I want you to have a power phrase. Here's mine. I am strong. And I'm squeezing harder and harder. Dory, what is your power phrase?
Okay, my power phrase is I am confident.
Okay, we're going to say ours together. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I
am strong. Show me, prove it. Let me see your biceps. Yes. Yes. This is your power pose. You can relax now.
All right.
This is your power pose, and there have been studies done that you will get a physical reaction in your body in a good way, chemicals releasing, that help you with your confidence. If you do this before you push play, I promise you, you will feel more confident.
Okay, we are ending it right there because that was like a powerful, I don't know, that was awesome. And I don't need to say anything. That was so good. All right.
Thank you.
Ending it there. I'll VO like an outro and we'll hit it.
Perfect.
I can't wait to tell. So we do bloopers. We do all sorts of fun things. We have the best. We just made the best blooper reel when I answered the questions backwards and you're like, oh my God.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm like, Diana, there's an awesome blooper reel. And this one, she loves that. She loves it. Like, making me
Oh,
look silly, but she does an awesome job at it and I don't mind. So great, great. This is so great. And then you ended it. That was amazing. And then our interactive thing. So fun. Thank
I
you.
hope that's okay that I asked you to stand up.
Oh, heck yeah. That stuff's funny, So
Yeah.
she'll
Yeah.
probably use that on there too. She'll put that in. She's so great. Okay. Okay, here we go. Count us down. 3, 2, Sunshine. I'd love for you to give your top 3 tips to launching a virtual studio.
Number 1, download the 3 questions that you need to answer before you set up your virtual studio, and then give me your answers on Instagram at FitTech University. I will give you my feedback. Number 2, listen to the Fitness Business Podcast. There are so many experts on here. And then number 3, tell me all the reasons you are not going to take action. And then tell me, what are you going to do about those reasons? Done.
Awesome. Great job. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So fun. So fun.
Thank you. This is wonderful. Thank you for making time for me.
Oh, for sure. I loved your answer about the collaboration. I have not
Thank you.
anybody sniff that. So that is a
Oh.
great new piece of information. And that was awesome. And then I like the whole confidence in front of the camera. That was amazing as well. So thank you so much. Good stuff.
Yeah.
stuff.
May I ask you, what are you finding are the sticking points for virtual fitness instructors or those who want to be virtual fitness instructors? Where are they getting stuck?
Most of them are getting stuck with the consistency. Complacency, consistency. It's been 2 years. They're kind of bored. They're kind of been there, done that. They don't know what else to teach. They feel like it's redundant. I get that all the time. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's kind of like teaching a class, you have to kind of just, when you teach a group X class, if you're teaching like Les Mills body pump, right? It's the same thing. So how do you make it different? Well, it's the stuff you say, change your vocabulary around. You talk to them, like try to engage in different ways. I don't know, but yeah, that one we get all the time, that they just kind of start to
quit. I got tired of staring at my basement wall too, so I had to change the color.
Right, that's what I was saying. Like, what can you do now? Like, do you change it up? But I loved your mixer. I don't think anybody's talked about that.
Good. Yeah, I hope there's things that you can pull out that you think will work for the FBP family.
Took me the longest time to get. I used to blunder it. Now I guess I got used to it. But in the beginning, I'd be like, "Am I the only one that's having problems saying FBP family?" And they're like, "Yeah, Dory, you're the only one." But